Welcome to TradeTheNBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 27th, and while we were talking about it, lower shakeout, higher highs, it was starting to decay, and we had the beginnings of the DOC spread starting, and I was like, okay, time to be warned. Now, we had plenty of reset here with the DOC steel. However, end of month coming, not a whole lot of people all that interested. When we started getting this increased break, we knew it was about over, and sure enough, we started with a magenta candle on Friday, and that was pretty much it. I mean, it was just so clean and classic for us. That's why I was posting that I had started to convert to shorting more, because we could see that the beginnings of, nothing serious. We know there's a lot of positive extremes that have to get filled back in place from this run-up and stuff, so this isn't anything catastrophic. It's just actual normal behavior, because we finally run through a lot of that Fed money in that. So, and I think some of this may even be a reaction to the coronavirus, because anyone who's paying attention to that can see the potential of the spread of that and the economic impact, particularly when you're talking about even in China quarantining towns. But the fact that they waited so long to do this, and we're starting to see a spread around the world in most major continents. Even though the case reporting is minor so far, it can accelerate quickly, and some people want to get ahead of that action just in case. Euro, Brit exit, some form, could be continued weakness because they still have no growth. And at the end of the day, they're just not matching what the U.S. is producing, and that is causing a serious impact. Deflationary pressure is going to be another one that's going to cause concern, because we were talking about this. Everything was fine and rosy, when we were holding up here, but when we started breaking down on Friday, and that with large excesses in crude, people start worrying about deflationary aspects or significant slowing in an economy. That's why we pay attention to that, because that was a precursor that was building for us. The fear factor from gold, the Middle East still hotbed. They're still bombing Baghdad, the facilities, no reaction. I guess from that standpoint, not being drawn into anything yet, but that means it may escalate. What a day, it was just piece of cake. We had the nice little run-up. DOC spread started early, but with a strong reset, so it was just going to be a matter of time, and it was just a matter of looking for small rejection periods, and every time they came in, they were beautiful from a decay standpoint. We got some nice little soft buys that came through. You weren't expecting a whole lot from those because they weren't getting the carry through, but they were still right on the money, capturing those below, down at the near zero, and then the little pops that came through. And then by the time we got later on, let me start to expand this just a little, because it was a lot of activity. So there was some significant volume happening for a day, which you'll like, because that's where you get a little bit more swift action. And most of these breakdowns, we were not seeing any reset of the steel at all. They had a little spike right here, which was bullish because we went above the negative 13.5, and that actually led to the nice little run right here that had the P2X buys. This one was solid, not as much this over here, even though it technically met the requirements, didn't have that same functionality of DOC breaking into a new zone. Here you had reached the oversold, but you also had the dip below the red line, matched it right over here, and then you had the higher shakeout, and that's what led to that burst that took us above to the 100% marker. But then we started getting clean DOC spreads, and they were decent, active. In fact, never really converted. I mean, even when the signal came in here, I was looking at any pop as potentially opportunities to short, because you had the rejection of cyan steel. Finally overtook it right about in this particular space. But I was still skeptical of it, because we were still having such weak shakeouts relative to it. Particularly when we got to here, we started making lower shakeout. I was expecting it to break down a little bit earlier in this particular case, because we had some soft DOC spreads right in there, but then it became very strong right at the close. And, for me, I have no compunction about holding shorts over weekends, and that simply because signals are the signals. And sure enough, this one just that concern, and I think this is really related to the fear factor of the coronavirus. But there are plenty of other reasons. I mean, this has been building for a little while, so it's not a shock. But as I mentioned, the fear factor, people will exit much faster than there is room, and that always creates a bottleneck, which creates severe liquidity drain. And that's exactly what we've got right now. But we're on top of it. So all in all, good stuff. I think that we've been pretty spot on with where things were expectation-wise and when to be cautious, and when we were feeling a little more from an exuberant standpoint. Still modest retrace given where we've been. So this isn't crisis mode just yet, but you have the readings now that amplify what we were talking about from a concern. So this has the potential of, filling back quite a bit more. I think we've got positive extremes that take us all the way back over here into the 31 range, mid 31s. So that's still 100 plus points away. And that would still be reasonable, nothing out of control or shocking. So worth noting, as always though, if we get anything unique or crazy, I will certainly let you know. I've been working on some additional programming, refining even some more details. So hopefully I'll have all that put together. As always, trade well. We'll talk to you later.